Today's a massive video with 7 news stories, so I'm just going to put the timestamps in the description down below, but I want to kick things off with a very interesting story around King and Queen of the Ring. Now, I'm actually talking about this because somebody showed me a link to Slice Wrestling, which on this channel, I have talked a little bit about Slice Wrestling's articles, and some of its stuff is true, some of the things actually happen, and this one is a really interesting story, and I just really want to see how this plays out, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But they dropped an exclusive report suggesting that WWE is discussing changing the name of King and Queen of the Ring to a new name to celebrate Roman Reigns' 1,000 days as champion. Now, for those who don't know, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will pay WWE around $50 million per event, and WWE does about 2 of these events per year. And it sounds like this could be a really big change for WWE if true. So Slice Wrestling says WWE is making the change to the name in preparation of Roman Reigns' 1,000 days as milestone, in which he is the WWE Undisputed Champion. On May 27, 2023 is actually the same day that he would reach 1,000 days, and this would be some form of, celebratory event in regards to Roman Reigns. And here's the thing, guys. WWE celebrating Roman Reigns at King and Queen of the Ring actually does make sense, considering that Roman Reigns is not expected to be at Backlash, but he is expected to be at King and Queen of the Ring. Now, what will WWE call this event instead? And that right there is the big question mark, because I thought King and Queen of the Ring was a major deal to the WWE, and I thought there's supposed to be some significance about that. But if we're going to have a tournament on this night to ultimately crown Roman Reigns as, 1,000 days as champion, like, if that's the plan here, then maybe it kind of hurts the King of the Ring tournament. I guess we'll see how everything goes down once we get closer to the date, but this is a story to definitely pay attention to, because if it comes true, nobody else is talking about it, and I feel like this is way too big of a deal not to be talking about. With that being said, I want to talk to you guys about SummerSlam plans. So Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch obviously kicking off their feud on WWE Raw, and now it appears that WWE is in fact planning a big-time singles match for this event. Now here's the thing. SummerSlam is August 5th, 2023 in Detroit. By the way, if you're a follower of this channel, I'll be there. It's in my hometown. And with that being said, we'll do some really cool stuff there. But WWE has some major plans for this singles match to take place then. Now, keep in mind, WWE has several events prior to SummerSlam taking place, and WWE already kickstarted the Trish Stratus heel turn when Becky Lynch and Trish dropped those tag titles. Obviously, if you guys missed Raw, Lita was attacked. We're going to find out more about this story and as it moves forward. But the idea here is that WWE does not want the Trish Stratus match to take place prior to SummerSlam. So this is going to be a slow burn storyline, and it is expected to be a very good one. A lot of people believe that they are going to go all in with Trish being the heel. And I think Trish versus Becky is the right call for a major singles match at SummerSlam. And the best part is it doesn't involve a title, which I have been saying for a while. For the women's division, you need to have these big time matchups without having a championship match, right? And I think this definitely solves that problem. Dave Meltzer has also come out and said the plan is the original plan, which is for them to compete at SummerSlam. So we'll see how things go there. But what about Gunther? What about Gunther and his match at WWE SummerSlam? Well, guys, a very interesting tweet came out from Worked Wrestling. Worked Wrestling tweeted out today, while Gunther has publicly stated during interviews that he'd like a match with Brock Lesnar, the idea has been floated backstage to potentially have them face off sometime this summer. Now, the belief is that if WWE is in fact going to have this match, it would in fact take place at SummerSlam. So, look, Raw after WrestleMania, really bad show. But as we move forward, WWE continues to be on track, and SummerSlam could be a very big deal. Gunther versus Brock Lesnar is a match that makes sense to me. I think this is a very massive singles match for SummerSlam. But I do have to wonder, will Gunther be a champion at this point? Will he still be the Intercontinental Champion at SummerSlam? Because if you have Brock Lesnar competing for a mid-card title against Gunther, to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people really saw that coming. But if WWE can really put Gunther over Brock Lesnar, then I am 1,000% in favor of this match. If Gunther loses to Brock Lesnar, I don't care how it's done, logically, illogically, count out, double count out. He's a loser if he does not pin Brock Lesnar 1, 2, 3, right? I do not think it's a good idea to have him coming off of this match not looking strong. And I think it's really important that WWE makes sure to get that right. I also want to point out, too, with WWE having Gunther and Brock Lesnar, you don't need to set up that match now, but I think you do have to do some stuff at least 2 months prior to really get people bought into the storyline, and we've seen them face off before, so obviously we know people want it. Guys, what about WWE canceling plans for the Hurt Business? This is a very interesting thing to me because we have been talking about the Hurt Business for a while now. We've seen that WWE has teased the Hurt Business, but now it appears that maybe WWE is done with the idea. Now, this did come from Dave Meltzer, so keep that in mind, but Dave Meltzer stated on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE has completely scrapped the idea of reuniting the group. Now, he says they have started it and totally dropped it. Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen MVP around. We haven't seen Cedric or Shelton around. Nothing. Now, I don't know if this is speculation from Dave Meltzer, but this is just a really odd way of wording what's going on. Now, if WWE has in fact dropped the Hurt Business, I would not be mad about that if WWE has a plan for all of the guys involved or if they're going to do something different. I've heard rumors from people online, and it could all be speculation, but maybe Cedric and Shelton go out to NXT to reform the Hurt Business with Carmelo Hayes. And honestly, that is a funny idea considering that Braun Breaker is the heel. But whatever change is happening, something is happening. A lot of fans are speculating. It sounds like Meltzer is speculating at this point. But until WWE really closes the door, the whole door on this thing, then to me, I still believe WWE might have plans there. We'll see what their plan is. Obviously, we see Lashley versus Bronson Reed becoming a new story. This is definitely a story to pay attention to as time goes on. Now, guys, I want to talk to you about some WWE signings and an AEW star who wants to go to WWE. First, we're going to talk about Andrade. If you guys don't know what's happening with Andrade, it's become very clear that Andrade is he's done with his contract very soon. In fact, he did a new interview with Lucha Libre Online during WrestleCon, and Fightful had actually transcribed this, and they said, Andrade said specifically that his contract will be expiring in the near future. He says he still works for AEW, and he wants to clarify that because he is still with AEW. He says, my contract will expire very soon, but I still belong to AEW. I tore my chest, so I am still in recovery. I had an operation in November, about 4 months off, but I am close to being back and to feeling 100%. Now, the reason why this is an interesting story is because Andrade's wife, Charlotte Flair, works in the WWE. Andrade has also very much been considered a Triple H guy, and there was rumors for a while that Andrade was trying to get out of AEW to go to WWE. Now, of course, that might not entirely be accurate because that just comes from speculation based on stories and Twitter posts and stuff like that. But if Andrade was looking to get out of AEW and sign with WWE, I would not be shocked. Working with your wife, working with Triple H, I just think it could be a lot of more positives for Andrade going to WWE. And listen, I've seen AEW fans tell me on Twitter that they don't even care for Andrade. So if that's how the AEW fan base feels about Andrade, then you know what, man? Hey, you're going to get money regardless of where you go. But if there's a spot for you in WWE and it makes sense logically for you and your lifestyle, then perhaps you should go to WWE. One thing to point out, though, is he has been off for 4 months, and AEW is doing exactly what WWE did, which I thought this was shocking, but AEW does add time to people's contracts when they are out injured. So will Andrade be another victim of that, or will Tony Khan do what he did with William Regal sort of and just say, look, you can go? Obviously, AEW hasn't really put him into major storylines since he's been there, and I would just say that AEW completely busted. But guys, what's really interesting here is Andrade is not the only person possibly returning to WWE. We got to talk about Eva Marie. Now, of course, this could just be Twitter and social media, and I already know what the reaction is going to be for a lot of fans, but it sounds like she is in talks with WWE. According to her, she was speaking to Bill Pritchard of WrestleZone, and Eva Marie claimed that she is in constant talks with WWE and the door is always open for her to return. She says the door is always open. I mean, we're in constant talks. When I had originally left, I was filming my first lead action movie, and then that door is definitely one of those things that is always open. I'm definitely down to always cause some trouble and stir some things up for sure. And here's the thing, guys. Whether you like or hate Eva Marie, she does have a big following outside of the WWE, but I do want to make it very clear. I am not interested in Eva Marie coming back to the WWE to take spotlight away from someone else. Now, if there is an opportunity for Eva Marie to be a supporting act, somebody there to help another talent, I would be okay with that. Whether she was a valet or a manager for a potential top star in the company, or somebody who needs a talking piece, or just somebody who needs a little bit extra presentation, I would be okay with that. But if we're going to get the dewdrop Eva Marie type of thing on WWE television, count me out. That's not what I'm looking forward to, and I just got to be 100% transparent about that. And then that actually leads us to our final story, Bandito, an AEW wrestler who I have argued has not been on TV not really done anything of significance with AEW. Now Tony Khan has publicly come out and said that there were some visa issues, which I think is a very valid reason for why Bandito hasn't necessarily been used. But now Bandito has been talking publicly about wanting to be in WWE, which this is not something that you typically see with AEW talent. Dave Meltzer reported that Bandito signed with AEW over WWE because he has a child in Mexico and his significant other doesn't want to move from Mexico and he doesn't want to not see his child all the time, which at the time that report came out, that made a lot of sense as to why Bandito would sign with AEW and not WWE. However, he was appearing on SoCatch by Hal 2, and Bandito was asked whether he would want to go to WWE, and now he says something very interesting. He says, at some point, I'd like to go to WWE. Not in this moment, but I hope later. I was in WWE. They invited me to the Performance Center. They gave me a Camaro for all my week to drive. That was amazing. I made good amigos. Chris Hero, I saw him in the Performance Center, and now he's a really good friend. I love you, amigo. He's very nice. So Bandito is openly talking about wanting to be in WWE in the future. Well, way to shit on AEW. And I'm sorry, but guys, Bandito in WWE, Bandito in AEW, I can't get excited about both because I love Bandito as a talent, but AEW, and this is for most of the American audience that hasn't seen Bandito, you don't really know what his potential is with AEW. You just saw a couple matches and most of them were on Dark. And here's the thing, if he was positioned as a top star in AEW, then maybe it's a little bit easier to visualize where he would be in WWE. But WWE historically does not have a good track record with luchadors. When they bring in a star from Mexico, they typically don't do anything big. And now we're starting to see some great things pop off with Santos Escobar. We know that there's some potential there with Andrade if he does come back. But if Bandito goes there, what is really next? And I think what we really have to look at is how WWE treats Dragon Lee and some of these other guys first. So I can't sit here and say that I'm excited for Bandito to go to WWE. I want to see what AEW does first, but obviously there's some issues that need to be worked out on. Obviously, this is a very stacked news video, guys, but I'm going to keep you guys updated along the way, so if you're not subscribed, make sure you do.